Welcome back to Aaron and Ellie on Kirby Drive. Today is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, and the Houston Texans are officially back. Now, Ellie's not here with me today. She's actually at work right now, so I'm going to record this one solo. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter than it normally is, but I wanted to get one out because, oh my God, are we so excited about the way the Texans played on Sunday. Yes, Lamar Jackson was out, and yes, almost the entire Ravens defensive starters were out. But I mean, let's be honest. They weren't playing amazing when they were all in there to begin with. So I feel like it was just as good to get right against this team than any other. I'd rather get the win because we definitely needed it to stay in the season. I think we have the Seahawks after the bye, and that's going to be a really tough game. But starting the season the way that the Texans did, definitely needed to go into Baltimore and kick their ass, especially because we've lost every single game we've ever played there. Man, going into halftime, I don't think I never in my life did I ever think that we would hear boos raining down in M&T Bank Stadium while the Texans were playing there. But that's what happened on Sunday because the Texans were kicking that ass. They were belt to ass the entire afternoon. It was absurd. Um, I mean, Houston made it look easy. Their first drive went right down the field and scored. Xavier Hutchinson, first career touchdown and after 3 seasons in the NFL. So happy for him. I think he scored twice today or Sunday. Um, Houston, in their first 37 drives this season, scored 4 touchdowns. It only took them it only took them 6 drives to score their next 4 touchdowns. So, in their 6 drives after their first 37, they outscored themselves almost instantly. So that's the end of the Titans game and the first drive of the Ravens game. Unbelievable the way that this team has turned it around in the last like 5 quarters of football. And it's exciting. It's a little bit concerning because it's the Titans and then a very depleted Ravens team. But man, it was so much fun to be happy on Sunday and be excited and just continue to pour it on a team that you knew you should beat, and they did. And that's not something that we can say that the Texans have been doing the last couple of years. So thank God for that. Um, I was so fired up when CJ Stroud took that huge 30-yard run when we thought he scored a touchdown to go and score our second touchdown of the day. I had to run in and wake Ellie up because I was so fired up, man. To see CJ get out of the pocket and move like that, god damn, man, that shit fires me up. I had to run in and wake Ellie up and make her watch the play because I just couldn't experience that alone. It's so crazy when stuff like that happens. And I sometimes, like I was watching it by myself while Ellie was sleeping to get ready for her shift. And you just sit there and you're like, maybe I'm the only person in the world seeing this. Maybe this isn't real. Maybe I'm still sleeping. Maybe I'm dreaming. Because even though we both picked the Texans to win, and we both thought that like, yeah, there's no way they lose to this team. There's no way they should lose to this team, and if they do, cut everybody and don't even let them back on the plane. But you still go into those games as a Texans fan. You think, yeah, okay, but come on, really? We've gone into Baltimore with way better teams than the one we put out in the field this Sunday, and gotten our asses beat every time. I mean, like, I don't know. I just can't ever remember going into a game in Baltimore and thinking, yeah, we should win this, you know? And this Sunday, not only did I feel that way, but we were right. They kicked ass on Sunday. And that was just so good to see. Yeah, never in my life again did I think that, like, I'd hear the Ravens fans booing their team while the Texans were in town to play. But, I mean, that's what happened right before half. Like, they missed a field goal to end the half, and then just out of halftime, Jalen Petrie gets that interception off Cooper Rush. I think they ended up turning him over 3 times through the air. Um, I think Kamari Lassiter in the last one, they said he was a card carrying psychopath, which I definitely agree with that. Um, man, the one thing that there was really only one moment in this game where I thought like, here we go again. Um, the first couple of drives were a little bit shaky. Like, right, we scored and then we let them drive right down the field, and it was a little bit concerning that they were moving the ball relatively easily. But the defense bowed up, stopped him, held him to 3, and then it was fine. Um, the only moment that I thought things were going to get a little bit hairy and like yeah, we were up by a million, but it just feels like you're going back to those moments whenever stuff like this happens. When Zay Flowers got got Derek Stingley to stumble and fall on that deep route to the outside, and Cooper Rush just threw up a prayer to him. I I don't know. You don't think that you're going to lose at that point, but then the Texans um, get the ball back, come up to fourth down and short, and you just see it all kind of unraveling, right? Like you can see that road happening where you punt the ball there, they score again, and now you're really in trouble. But I don't know if it's because of the game that was here in Christmas last year, or just because we know that we've never beat the Ravens here. But the Texans went for it, they got it, and then they went down and they scored, and they said, you know what, we're not fucking around anymore. We're gonna put this team away right now, and we're not gonna let them get back into this game. And thank God they did, because it was just wall to wall ass beating, and that's what we needed. We didn't need to let them back in. We didn't need to let them get like a moral victory out of it. We wanted them to be like demolished, feel bad about their season, end it for them. And honestly, it might be pretty close to that for the Ravens. We'll talk about them in a second. But man, like I just love to see the Texans not only like winning a game that they're supposed to win, which almost never happens, but the fact that whenever, you know, they got a big lead, then the Ravens threatened them a little bit. And rather than just saying, okay, well, we still have a pretty big lead, let's just hold on to it the best we can, they said, no, we're gonna put our foot on their throats, and we're gonna end this game right now. And that was all I've ever wanted to see from them, and they did it, and they got it done this weekend. Um, yeah, Jalen Noel got his first career touchdown this weekend, and he did the Ray Lewis dance. He's coming out of the tunnel dance, and that's like that's top level shithousery. That was funny, I think. It was even funnier to watch Jair Alexander, who's only been there for like a couple weeks, right? He just signed there from Green Bay. He doesn't know, he can fuck about Ray Lewis. What does he care? Coming over to try and take his first touchdown ball away from him, and he he still can't even strip the ball after the play. That's crazy. I don't know what to tell you. That's crazy. But they were literally like, I don't know, like schoolyard, like just like give it to me on the sideline. Oh man, and yeah, I think J.J. Watt said it best whenever he was talking about Jalen Noel doing the Ray Lewis celebration after that touchdown. He was saying like, yeah, there. This is probably the first Ravens team in a long time that anyone, let alone a rookie who just scored for the first time in their career, would feel comfortable doing that in the Ravens stadium. And yet, the Ravens defense and the whole team in general played like shit, and they couldn't put up a fight. They couldn't do anything to stop it. So I don't know where the Ravens go from here, because it didn't look good. And I don't know that Lamar Jackson's going to be back next week. And even if he is, the Rams are not a bad team. Like, it's going to be a dogfight. When Brendan was on the podcast, he talked to us about how he was pretty sure they were going to be the Texans, which obviously there was a material change in what we knew back then, but also get fucked. Um, but then, like, the Rams, like, you probably need to win this game now because you're 1-4. If you go into the bye 1-5, even if you do have a cupcake schedule afterwards, I mean, the most you can get is 12 wins, and that's if you play perfectly the rest of the season. So, and I just don't see this Ravens team doing that. Like, yeah, like they usually drop a game to the Steelers just for no reason, and that was before they had a quarterback playing there, even though I'm not convinced with Aaron Rodgers at all. But, they had Mason Rudolph beat them a couple times, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know what the Ravens do from here. Derrick Henry has looked horrible the last couple games. He was doing even worse than his stat line shows. He ended up having 15 carries for 33 yards and a touchdown. He played even worse than that. Like the Texans were bottling him up. And it's pretty simple, right? You just need to not let him get a running start, which is easier said than done. But whenever you only have Cooper Rush back there to worry about, it's pretty easy to key in on him for that. So credit to the defense for getting that done. Yeah. The only other thing is Mark Andrews, man. That poor guy. Oh, he had another crazy drop this weekend, and it led directly to a Texans interception because he literally picked the ball up like almost immaculate receptioned it off the turf, um, and basically tossed it in the air for the Texans to pick off and take back the other way. So I don't know. It just feels like he just can't get it going, and that really sucks. But I don't know. It was just an all around ass beating by the Texans. um, and I'm here for it. I was so happy to see it happen. So I don't know. I know that the Ravens were injured, but I'll always take a win, especially when the season's on the line. Um, the last thing, there was like a penalty in the middle of the game. I don't know, remember when, but they were discussing it for a long time, and one of the refs was fully just like holding the other ref's waist for like a minute straight to the point where like the commentators were making comments on like, oh, he's really got his hand on his waist there. Um, and then of course it was Land Clark, so they spent the next 30 seconds talking about how big his arms were. Uh, but I guess you got to find out something to talk about whenever a blowout like that happens. So I don't know. Huge game for the Texans. CJ Stroud played really well. Again, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like we'll see how this team performs. Like right now, you're coming off a really good fourth quarter against a bad Titans team, um, and a really good game against a really bad Ravens team. And I'm not sure. Not sure it's a great sign that it felt like it was easier to beat the Ravens than it was to beat the Titans at home. So I don't know. Um, Yeah, so I don't know. I think CJ Stroud played really well. I think he did what he had to do to win this game. Again, that 30-yard run was so electric. I think he only had like 4 or 5 incompletions the whole day, so he played basically perfectly. He couldn't do anything better, but I don't know. I just get nervous. I get a little nervous to say we're fully back until we play a team that has a good defense, which Seattle does. Although they gave up 1 million points in their game this weekend, so I don't know. We'll have a better idea. I feel like once we go to Seattle and play there. But I don't know. Super excited after the way that this game ended. So we'll move on to the next game. Vikings 21, Browns 17. And really, honestly, I just wanted to come on here and talk about that game. So we'll see how much in-depth commentary I have for the rest of the games. But Vikings 21, Browns 17. I did set my alarm to wake up for this game, and it like cost me the rest of my Sunday, and it was really not worth it. Cam Akers, running back, Houston Texans legend Cam Akers, threw a touchdown pass, so that's fun. Carson Wentz tried to pull Mac Jones, pretended like he was hurt before halftime, came back in the second half and finished the game. So we did have to watch him play football all afternoon. So that was something that happened. Um, yeah, but this was Dylan Gabriel's first start. I mean, he didn't look terrible, right? Like they were moving the ball. I thought that they had a good chance to win this game. Ended up being Carson Wentz once again overseas with the chance for a game-winning drive, and this time he got it done. He threw a touchdown pass to Jordan Addison with basically no time left. It wasn't like the disaster of a drive that he had last week against the Steelers. So good for Carson Wentz. I just hope that JJ McCarthy can come back, which is not something I thought I'd be saying 3 weeks ago, but there's already so many backups playing. I'm sick of watching backups play. Um, but yeah, the Browns, what I can say for them is that they were running the ball really well. Quinshon Judkins looks like he's going to be special. I need to do more research to determine if he's like a decent person or not. um, because I don't know how to feel about that. I don't have all the details on how that. I think it was either domestic. Someone in the comments of one of our TikToks was like, it actually wasn't sexual assault. It was domestic violence he was accused of. So, and I'm like, okay, yeah, hand up. I got that wrong. I don't know. Okay, you can have that one, I guess. Um, so yeah, I don't know how to feel about him. Somebody let me know in the comments, and not just like someone who was like from the beginning railing against people like that. Let's be real with the situation and see what actually happened. I'd like to get a clearer picture on that. As for Dylan Gabriel, I don't know. He didn't look horrible. Uh, like he manages the game well. Like there were a couple of great throws to David Njoku and stuff like that, and I think that he played a fine game from start to finish. The only thing is like it was very clear that the Browns are going to win this game and by trying to make it as easy as possible for him, like running the ball, basically every play. I think before their last drive, which is basically like garbage time desperation throws, like heaves down the field. Um, the Brown like Dylan Gabriel was like 1 of 8 for yeah, he was like 1 of 8 on passes further than 10 yards down the field. So it was a lot of underneath stuff, a lot of screens, quick passes. Again, just like handing the ball off. Obviously, don't want to overwhelm him because he's starting in a foreign country for the first time ever, which is such a crazy experience. But I don't know. I guess he played fine. Not well enough to win, obviously, but uh, yeah, congrats Vikings. I guess you kind of forget about the Vikings. They're just kind of doing it out there, kind of rolling around in the mud. Um, but I guess they're hanging around in that division that is full of teams that I think are a lot better than them. But they're hanging in it for the wild card, so we'll see how that happens there. We'll head back stateside for the afternoon game. Saints 26, Giants 14. I should have stuck to my gut on this one because Spencer Rattler picked up his first ever career win, and it wasn't a crazy game by him, but it was good enough, and I think he'll take anything at this point. Ellie convinced me to pick the Giants here. Not a good call. Turns out without Malik Neighbors, they're not that fun to watch. They actually got out to a decent start in the first half. I think they were up like 14-6. And then they proceeded to have probably the worst run I've ever seen in a game. Like, almost like unbelievable. You can't make it up. So they were up 14-6, I believe, when all this started. And then the Giants fumble on 3 straight possessions. One going into the half, one coming out of the half, and then another one on the next possession. Cam Scatterbo puts the ball on the ground, and the ball gets returned 86 yards for a touchdown. Absolutely absurd sequence that I think saw them down 20-14 at the end of all of it. It was crazy. They literally had the game not in hand because it was only like 14-6, I think, in the first half still. But I mean, like, they had a chance to go down, get points before the half, and then get points coming out of the half when they received the ball. And they fumbled twice on both of those possessions. And then Cam Scatterbo really just like puts the ball on the ground they're driving in to score to go retake the lead after their 2 previous fumbles. And they just lose the ball again right there and get it returned for a touchdown. Cam Scatterbo was yelling at some of the people on the sideline, yelling at them to get him some new gloves. Like, that would have helped. I don't think that was the case because I think he was carrying the ball with one hand and going into like the teeth of the defense, just not very secure whatsoever. Which I guess is kind of like that's like the double-edged sword of having a Cam Scatterbo on your team is when he's happy and yelling, it's a lot of fun. It's like, haha, hee, funny guy yelling and screaming. But also whenever things are going poorly, like obviously he's going to be just as unhinged and it's not going to be very fun for anyone. So I don't know. Probably just a poor moment of composure for the guy. So I don't want to hold him to it too much. But I do think it is crazy to be yelling at like the assistants whenever it's like, right, you're the one who lost the ball. Like, let's lock in and let's calm down. Yeah, and then following their 3 straight possessions, fumbling the ball away, they then proceeded to end the next 2 drives in interceptions before they turned the ball over on downs to end the game. So they were up 14-6. Then they went fumble, 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 interception, interception, turnover on downs. All-time collapse from a very young Giants team in their defense. I think the defense played well enough to win this game. Like, without the fumble 6, like, they probably held the Saints team to 19 points. And even then, like, they were put in a very bad spot by their offense multiple times because of all the turnovers. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this game for the Giants. I think some of that was just like very unlucky play. Like 3 fumbles in a row is very hard to do, even if you're trying. The 2 interceptions, Kool-Aid McKinstry got both of them, so that's pretty cool for him. This just wasn't a great follow-up to like what was an electric win over a Chargers team that turns out might be in some trouble. So I don't know. I think the Giants will be all right. I just don't know. I don't know. Like, if Brian Daboll was on the hot seat before this season, I don't know if there's enough wins on the schedule to keep him his job. Now, if ownership is fine, they're saying, okay, we understand. Let's just see some progress out of Jackson Dart, and then we'll play by ear. Then I think he's probably all right, But the way the Giants' schedule shakes out, like, you can't lose to the Saints and count on keeping your job unless you plan on really coaching your ass off down the stretch, which maybe maybe he does. But if you feel like you're on like feel like you need to get to a certain benchmark in wins to stay employed, this is one that really hurts to drop. So I don't know. Good for the Saints. I don't really know what this does for either team other than probably like flip them in the draft order at some point later in the season. Um, but hey, at least you got to have a fun game in the Superdome. Next game up, Broncos 21, Eagles 17. And this is exactly what I said was going to happen last week, where the Eagles have been just randomly choosing to not play football for like entire halves at a time. And I don't understand it. I really don't get it. Um, even though that's the case though, like the Eagles were leading 17-3 going into the fourth in this game, and they allowed the Broncos to score 18 unanswered points. Um, I just don't get it. I don't understand. I don't know what they're doing. Like they play well enough. Like this game, obviously they're playing against a better team on defense than they have all year, and so like they were only managed to score 17 before they decided to quit playing. Um, but I mean, like every game this year, you've seen them either not play the first half and roar back to win the game, or more often, like jump out to a huge lead on these teams and then just let them back into the game. And they've managed to keep the other teams at bay that they've played so far. Sometimes it takes like a miraculous blocked field goal, like to keep the Rams down, and sometimes it just takes like I don't know, like too big of a deficit to overcome, like they did against the Bucks. But this game, like 2 touchdowns is not a lot if you're just going to take an entire half off, which is basically what they did. I mean, the Eagles scored on a 74-yard drive to open the second half. Their next drives after that, the rest of the half, were 23, -16, -6, 2 yards, and then 45 yards when they needed to score a touchdown, and the Broncos were basically playing prevent defense. Um, so yeah, they came in a half and scored a touchdown, and then they just stopped playing football for 20 to 25 minutes. I just don't understand. I don't get it because like this Broncos team is not bad enough for you to just I don't know stick your head in the sand and hope the game runs out of time before you lose, which is how the Eagles feel like they're playing right now, and I don't understand it at all. Um, the Broncos though, I think they knew they were up against it, so when they scored to essentially tie the game, they were down 16-17. They went for two and got it, and that put all the pressure on the Eagles, and they just couldn't rise to that occasion. Um, there was some controversy down the stretch. The Broncos were driving in to try and put the game away. They were leading 18-17. Um, and there was a play, I think it was either second or third down. I think it was probably second down because I think they converted shortly after. But second down, and Bonus was in trouble in the pocket. Ended up turning, spinning, like and just like launching a ball to really the middle of nowhere, right? Technically, there were two receivers like in that direction, but they were not anywhere near the ball when it would hit the ground. And I don't know, like Tony Romo after the fact, they threw a flag for intentional grounding originally, but then they went ahead and picked it up because technically those two receivers were over there in the area. And Tony Romo, like for the next like 6 plays, just would not let it go. He was pissed, saying like, I think even disagreeing with like the rules analysts that they had come in and say, yeah, that's technically not intentional grounding because they were there. I think Tony Romo like was for like I don't know 3 minutes saying like this is crazy, this is a bad call. I don't know, Jim. I think that's intentional grounding. Um, and you know what? I rarely agree with Tony Romo on a lot of things, but I don't know. I think he's probably right. Like by the letter of the law, like that wasn't grounding. I don't think. Even that's kind of shaky. But I think that like the spirit of the law, right? The spirit of the rule of intentional grounding is that he was clearly intentionally dirting that football. Like Bo Nix was spinning to nowhere. He was never getting out of that sack. Like the Eagles player had his hands on him, was gonna take him down, and Bo Nix just throws the ball to not be sacked. You know, that's the only reason he threw the ball. He wasn't trying to complete a pass, wasn't trying to even get it in the area. He just let go of the ball, and it happened to land in the direction of two other Broncos players. And so I think that I think this happened somewhere else this weekend, but I don't remember what game it was. Where it was kind of like, okay, is this intentional grounding by the letter of the law? No. But in spirit, yeah, that's exactly what he intended to do, was ground the football. Um, so I don't know. That was a tough call for the Eagles to see that flag thrown and then picked back up. There was another kind of crazy call later on where I think RJ Harvey caught the ball and tried to keep fighting. Like he was basically parallel to the ground, and then eventually fell down, hit the ground and was down. Um, and then I think Zach Bond ended up hitting him a second after that happened, and so they threw a flag, and that was on third down, and I think he ended up being short of the line of game, but then he got hit, um, and they gave him a first down for it, and that was just kind of I don't know. I thought that was closer than it looked in slow mo. I think that there was a really rough call for especially right after the intentional grounding. It really, really, really hit different to see that called as a late hit, because he was fighting for extra yards right there for the first down to basically almost win the game. Um, and Zach Bond did get there late, yes, but I don't think it was as late as the officials thought it was, because I think they just kind of wanted him to assume that RJ Harvey wasn't going to keep going, was going to go down. But you never know. You never know what kind of acrobatics he's going to pull off. So I don't know. You can't really fault Zach Bond for that, but those two penalties were killer. Extended Broncos, first of all, kept the Broncos in that drive and then extended the drive right afterwards. And it just was a really rough sequence. And then the Eagles just didn't have enough to go down and score a touchdown after they kicked the field goal. Yeah, I saw that Jalen Hurts threw a Hail Mary and literally playground style threw it, tried to throw it high enough where he could run all the way down and try and catch the ricochet, and it just didn't work out. Um, so the guy's got a heart of a champion, but they need to get it figured out in Philadelphia, because like I said, this was always gonna happen. One of these games they were gonna blow it, because you just can't not play football for an entire half and think you're gonna win games, no matter how big your lead is. So I don't know. They need to get it figured out. And I have no doubt they will, because they're the Eagles and they always do. Um, but that was just a rough scene to lose that game the way they did. And I guess now the Broncos, their defense played incredible. Holding the Eagles to 17 points, and essentially 0 points in the second half. Yeah, they gave it a touchdown to start, but then nothing after that. The Broncos defense is for real. Nick Benito is so good. And yeah, I don't know. Makes me hard. No. Pause. It makes it hard to believe in Bo Nix whenever you see a showing like you did in the second half, but then you watch the entire first half where they scored 3 points only, and it's okay, well, I've watched teams really eat up this Eagles defense, so I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. Yet somehow, after all this madness, even though the Chargers jumped out to that crazy lead in the division, the Broncos are right back in it. They're still probably second because they've lost to the Chargers head to head. But I mean, they got another game against them, and if they take it, there's nothing separating the Chargers anymore from the Broncos. So I don't know. I guess that division's really anybody's now, especially after tonight's game. But we'll move on to the next one. Don't have a lot on this, but Cowboys 37, Jets 22. The final score of this game is much closer than it actually was. I think it was 30-6 at the start of the fourth quarter. The Cowboys do what they need to do. They get a win, go to 2-2-1. Disgusting. And the Jets are down horrendous. They're very, very sad. Very, very, very sad team. Like I said last week, the devil lives in MetLife Stadium. I just don't know. Apparently, there are still some Justin Fields truthers out there. I couldn't believe it, but I thought we were done with that. But somehow, some way, you can justify but it's just the Jets. So actually, it's not Justin Fields' fault. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers kept this team competitive last year. Yeah, they ended up losing a lot more games than they won, but they weren't getting blown out like this whenever Aaron Rodgers is on this team. And I don't think that Aaron Rodgers is a particularly good quarterback anymore. But it looked better than this has at all this year, outside of the first game against Aaron Rodgers. Um, yeah, I don't know. Justin Fields is on his like Bryce Young shit where he just like scores 0 points in the first 3 quarters and then tries to like save his career for the stat sheet warriors after the fact, just going crazy in the fourth. And it's like, okay, what do you want me to do with that? Because if you're not going to be an electric passer, if you're not going to like blow up a stat sheet, if you're not going to like blow me away with your metrics, with your statistical performance, and you're going to tell me it's all intangibles or he's just that good of a quarterback that you just need to like ignore what I'm seeing with my eyes and ignore what I'm seeing in the stat sheet, then you have to win games at least, right? Because you can pass that off as anything. Like, do I believe that some of these quarterbacks who are winning games, like Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, do I believe that they're like that good? Do I think that they are that amazing of quarterbacks? No, but you can't really argue against that because they're winning games, you know? And here it's the opposite to where like Justin Fields, you can see he's not very good. And he's also losing all these games and people are still like, well, it's got to be something else, surely. Like he can't just be bad every. At what point do you become the common denominator in your own failure? You know, I don't know. Like the worst part about all this is like I don't even like have anything against Justin Fields. I don't know anybody who personally hates Justin Fields. I don't know how you could. Like the guy's a super nice guy. He's so kind to everybody that he sees in the media. Seems like he's had a really rough go of it in the NFL. Um, but this is one of those things where like people force you to be more antagonistic against someone or something than you intentionally want to or than you initially want to be because they just will not let it go. And so I'm at the point where I'm just like, guys, we have to move on. Because right now, one of the 32 most coveted jobs in the world, I believe anyway, is being occupied by someone who I don't have any fun watching play. And I think that that spot would be better suited finding out if someone else has anything, you know? So I just don't get it. And I guess I never will. Maybe some people will like go to their graves believing that Justin Fields never got a fair shot. And that's fine if you're related to Justin Fields. If you're just some rando on the internet, what's the issue? I don't understand. So I guess I had more to say on that game than I thought I did. But next game up, Colts 40, Raiders 6. Guys, I think I think the Colts might be pretty good. That troubles me a little bit. Now I want you to hear what I have to say about this. Is that I think the Colts are a pretty good football team. I think that they're capable of winning these games, especially like their defense is very good and their special teams plays really well. I think they're capable of continuing to win games like this, especially the games they're supposed to win, right? Like Dolphins, Raiders blew them the hell out. No contest, right? And that's what's supposed to happen because Colts are a good team. Um, I think they're capable of continuing to win games like this so long as more things go right. You know, as long as things are almost perfect. They don't have to be perfect, right? Like they still almost won that Rams game, even though they had some disastrous plays down the stretch. But as long as things continue to go relatively well for them, I think they can continue to win games. Um, Now, that being said, I don't know how to gauge this game for the Colts because the Raiders are terrible. Um, Believe it or not, they actually led this game at the end of the first quarter, 3-0. They then proceeded to allow the Colts to score the next 40 points unanswered. So I don't know how much that's worth to you. Um, I think the Raiders are the kings of like shitty ass, long as hell drives that lead to nothing. Super long expedition level drives, like double digit plus play drives to nowhere. And I just will never understand it. Like they had that one drive in the Chargers game on Monday night where they took like 13 minutes off the clock and ended up kicking a field goal. They did it again this weekend. They had another 16 play, 9-minute, 50-second drive, only to end up with 3 points. And that's impressive, honestly. I'll give him that. That's crazy to do. Um, is it going to win you football games? No, obviously not. Unless you plan on winning like 6-0, which maybe they're planning on doing. Maybe that's what their plan was. Um, and it must have been when you signed Geno Smith because he threw 2 more interceptions today or Sunday. And I'm just over it. Honestly, I am. I'm just over all of this. Like I don't know. Geno Smith seems like a good guy. Again, seems like he had a rough go of it in the NFL. I don't know that it was entirely undeserved whenever he wasn't given like another chance in New York. I think he played serviceably in Seattle, but I think that everyone in Seattle decided that Pete Carroll and Geno Smith had taken them as far as they were going to go, and that was not good enough for them, and so they were both asked to leave, which is then crazy to me why Pete Carroll would say, you know what, I believe in us. I believe in us, Geno. I think we can do this in a worse organization, with a worse team, with an even worse roster. I think it's going to work out this time. It's like, why would you do that? I'm watching Jalen Milroe, who, I don't know, maybe he's not going to be very good, but I'd at least like to watch him go and try out there, Then watch Smith just throw interceptions all day. He's thrown 8 interceptions in his last 4 games. I think he's only thrown 3 touchdowns in that span. And yeah, okay, bad example because Jalen Milroe fumbled his only snap on Sunday, so maybe not. But I don't know, like you've got 2 of the rookie quarterbacks on the Browns just doing nothing for anyone. I don't know. Tyler Shuck even is just sitting in the Saints QB room doing nothing. And like I'm glad Spencer Rattler's getting some runs because at least he's having fun out there doing something, moving the ball up and down the field. But the Raiders are just sad, man. And Brock Bowers wasn't playing, so you lose like your one big weapon through the air on offense. I get it, right? But it's just not looked good enough. It's just not been good enough at all. And I don't understand why you would run it back whenever it doesn't look great in Seattle. Yeah, you probably were good enough to qualify for the playoffs once or twice, but I think we all knew it was up, Um, yeah, so anything else on this game? AJ Cole hurt on a Colts block punt. That made this game kind of weird. I think the only punt that the Raiders officially had was like a Daniel Carlson punt for like 30 yards, which is always fun when like a kicker goes out there and boots it. So that was cool. Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson also got in this game. Vintage moment from him. He completed half of his passes. To be fair, it was 1 of 2, but right there at the Anthony Richardson line. And he was also the only person to catch a pass from himself. So, perfect. It's just perfect. I don't know. I miss Anthony Richardson. I think he should play more. I think he should get in the game next week. But, anyways, I guess the Colts are good and I'm sad about it. Panthers 27, Dolphins 24. I think the Panthers still need to try our strategy of just putting a different quarterback in the first quarter and then letting Bryce Young come in after that. Because I don't know if he just feels like he has to, but he just turns the ball over once or twice at the beginning of every game. Just without fail. That's what he does. Like clockwork. Goes out there, fumbles the ball, throws a pick. Okay, now I can start playing. And I don't know. It's beyond frustrating because I guess you're just like, okay, cool. That's what you do now. That's fine. Because the Panthers ended up winning this game somehow. Even though I think the Dolphins jumped out to like a 17-0 lead. But I mean, they had 19 yards rushing. The Dolphins did. Meanwhile, Rico Dowdle had a crazy game. 206 yards and a touchdown. It's like, yeah, the Dolphins jumped out to a 17-0 lead on the back of those Bryce Young turnovers. But when you can't run the ball at all, you're never going to hold on to that. So, I don't know. What do you want me to say? The Dolphins are definitely done, right? Stick a fork in them. I guess you just kind of like don't even watch their games now from now on. You just kind of like, if it's the only one on, you just kind of put it on in the background. God, I hope they don't have many more primetime games because I can't. Can't deal with this team anymore. Um, and I don't want to talk about them anymore. So let's move on. Buccaneers 38, Seahawks 35. This was the game of the weekend. I mean, this game was electric. Back and forth scoring all day long. It was like blowing up red zone. It was the only entertaining game until the Titans and Cardinals decided to get on some fuck shit later on. Um, Baker Mayfield, 29 of 33, 379 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sam Darnold, 28 of 34, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. They were slinging it all over the yard. They looked really good. Both of them did. And I don't even like Sam Darnold. I don't think he's very good, but I can't lie. He was slinging that thing around. Um, and on both sides of the ball, like on both sides of the both teams, Jackson Smith and Jigba, so good. So is Emeka Ibuka. Ohio State really is like wide receiver U, I guess. It's unbelievable the talent that they produce. Even Marvin Harrison had a decent game on Sunday. I don't know. This game was like crazy. AJ Barner, also shout out him. He's a dog. Um, they just lit up the scoreboard, and it came down to the final drive. Crucial Sam Darnold interception. Unfortunately, classic Sam Darnold interception. Like, that's just seems to be what happens, you know? Um, Now, it did bounce off, like, he was getting hit as he threw, and it did bounce off of a player's helmet when he threw it. So it wasn't like he made, like, a really poor. I mean, you could argue it was a bad decision to still let that ball go when you still had, I think, timeouts, and there was still some time left on the clock. Like, even if you had to, just take the sack, live to play another down. Um, I don't know. I think Sam Darnold's had some really good games this year, but I think just like last year, every once in a while he still likes to remind us that he's the kid who sees ghosts. Um, Not to say that like this was a bad game by him at all. This was an amazing performance by him. Just so happened that this game was going to come down to whoever made a mistake first, and it was him this time. Uh, I don't know. It just feels like a lot of times, more often than not, it's him that makes that mistake. So I don't know, because Baker Mayfield drove them right down the field, got them into field goal position, win the game. So I think that's going to be the difference between teams like this all years. Guys who make plays in those moments and guys who shrink from those moments, like Sam Darnold did last year. And again, I don't think this was that bad of a play on his part. I think it's just kind of like a little bit of panic mixed with some really bad luck. But I don't know. It was a crazy game. The Buccaneers looked like they're for real. And the Seahawks, even though they lost this game, like they looked really good on offense, which they did against the Saints. And I mean, it's the Saints, right? Whatever. But also, like, this game was against the Buccaneers, who were not like terrible on defense. So it was a crazy game to watch, and definitely made like the 4 o'clock slate watchable because the rest of it was just not. Um, I don't know. The only other funny thing with this game is like Leonard Williams headbutted a Bucks player in the end zone, and all three refs just threw a flag at the same time. That was pretty funny. But other than that, it was just a good football game all around. This next game was not, and it was Titans 22, Cardinals 21. Honestly, unbelievable. I can't believe it. There's no words for how this game turned out. Like, this game was over. The Cardinals were leading 21-6. Amari Demercado is running for a 72-yard touchdown to put them up 28-6. And just like Adonai Mitchell did last week, he drops the ball before he crosses the goal line, and the Titans get the ball back. And even that seemed kind of inconsequential. Like, it's like, what are you doing? How do you keep doing this? But even still, like, it's okay. We're all right. And then the Titans, really the whole game, went crazy mode. Like, everybody just lost their goddamn minds. Uh, the drive after that fumble, Cam Ward rips a ridiculous throw down the seam to Calvin Ridley, just puts it on a rope to him, and then has a perfect pass down the sideline to the right while he's getting hit in the pocket. Absurd drive by Cam Ward there. Um, and they go down and they score a touchdown. But then Joey Sly misses the extra point to keep the Titans down by 9. So they're still down by 2 scores. The Cardinals go 3-and-out again. and then they punt the ball, and the Titans are driving into Cardinals territory, still down by 9 at this point, when Cam Ward throws an interception. He's trying to make a play. He's out of the pocket to the left, just throws a bad pass. It's a bad play by the rookie. Um, but somehow, the Cardinals defender falls down of his own accord, loses the football. There's only Cardinals players on the screen when this happens, by the way. Like, there's 4 Cardinals players around. They end up all kicking the ball all over the place. It rolls into the end zone, and Tyler Lockett, the 30-year-old virgin, falls on it for a touchdown. And it's like, you can't make this shit up. You can't. The Titans are within 2 points of the Cardinals, all because Emari Demercado drops the ball before he scores a touchdown. And now, even though the Cardinals get a pick to stop the Titans from driving, they're going to win this game, essentially. That's over. It's over. You get the ball back with 4 minutes left, and the Titans are down by 2 scores. And instead, you just drop the ball of your own volition, and then all of you kick it around 1,000 times, and the Titans score a touchdown. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then they go down, and they kick the game-winning field goal after the fact. Like, the Cardinals had no fight in them. They essentially handed this game to the Titans. And even then, it took, like, I don't know, like cartoon-ass physics to get the Titans this win. I couldn't believe it. I'm watching in real time. It's absurd. Looney Tunes-ass game. I don't know. The Cardinals are finished, man. I can't imagine what it's like to be a Cardinals fan. I can't imagine what it's like to lose that game like that. Like, the Texans have lost in some pretty dog shit ways. But, I mean, I can't remember a game. Usually it's just from being flat out ass, you know? I can't remember a game where it's actually like, wow. Like, that was absurd levels of just, like, slapstick shit that went wrong, you know? I cannot remember a game like that for the Texans ever. But that was just crazy. And yeah, now it's really bad vibes in Arizona. I guess if you're the Titans, like, you feel good that you got a win. If you're Brian Callahan, probably don't sleep any better tonight, because I think anyone at the brand's going to look at that and be like, listen, buddy, you lost that game, and then the Cardinals just happened to hand it back to you, you know? And maybe this gets the guys going. Maybe this brings them back, like, stops them from quitting fully. But that was not a good game called by Brian Callahan. Like, they had that game lost. And then a series of, like, a comedy of errors brings it back into it, only for them to just barely scrape out a win. So, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the Titans after this. Probably the same, that I don't think they're going to win many more games this season. I want to clarify. It was funny because Ellie and I posted that clip last week of us where I said that I was picking the Cardinals, and Ellie was very surprised by that. And I was very surprised by her surprise, because, like, why would it be surprising that I was picking against the Titans? We were yelling back and forth about it. It was fun. But, like, I want to make it clear, I wasn't incredulous at the fact that someone would pick the Titans, right? Like, I have never put it past the Cardinals to lose a game like this. I was just more taken aback by how she thought it was ridiculous that I would pick against the Titans ever, you know? Because, like, why would it be crazy to say that the worst team in the league is going to lose? So she did get back there. She did pick this game right, and that was pretty funny that happened like that. Especially the way it happened, after, like, both of us are just, like, yelling and screaming about this stupid-ass game. And then it ended like that, the way it did. Just absurd. But, yeah, unfortunately for Ellie, that was the only game that she picked right that I didn't. So, tough. Last thing from this game, which is not so fun. Jonathan Gannon, head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, was seen hitting Emari Demercado after his fumble at the goal line. And that's, I don't know, that's just not okay, like, at all. Like, in no place, and let me be very clear, right? If you're a young player, if you're at any level of the game, no, your coaches should not be laying hands on you for anything you do on the field, right? There's no excuse for you to hit, like, especially if you're a child, but, like, even if you're a grown man, like, if you're in a place of work, this is what they do for work, right? This is their office. This is their job. You should never fear for physical punishment. That should not ever be on the table. I don't care how passionate you are. I don't care how big you fuck up. You should never be in a situation where the person who you report to can strike you physically. I don't care if you have padding on. I don't care if he barely hit you. I don't care if you're 10 times bigger than him and you should have barely felt it. Because I see a lot of people in these comments saying things like, y'all are so soft. You're so soft. He barely hit him. I guarantee you, like, getting hit on the pads like that doesn't feel like anything. That's just passion for the game. Like, if you don't have, I want my coach to do that because that's just what passion looks like. No, unacceptable. You are a grown ass man. You're a professional. You were hired to lead these men to win football games. And yeah, that was a boneheaded play, but I'll be honest, the rest of the games you've lost this year are on you, Jonathan Gannon. Um, you should never just get a pass to hit someone. I don't care if it's a crime of passion. I don't care if it's premeditated. If you are in a place of work, which is where these people are, you should not be putting your hands on someone else like that, especially if they work for you ostensibly. It's unacceptable. And what worries me the most is the fact that there is so many people in the comments saying things like, "Oh, well, you guys just haven't been around like real football teams then. Like you guys just haven't been around like good coaches then." And that really worries me because like I played football for 2 years in middle school and like no one ever hit anyone on our team. If our coaches had hit someone, that would have been crazy. Like we would have all quit the team immediately. And so I don't know, like if this is something that happens regularly enough for you to go online and say this is something that regularly happens, that's absurd to me, and that needs to change immediately. Um, and I don't know, like you can call me soft all you want, you can say that's just how it is, but like it doesn't have to be that way. And maybe I'm crazy, but it shouldn't be, especially not if you're talking about like youth sports. Your coaches should never be able to just like hit the people on their team. It's unacceptable to me. Um, it's just, I don't know, just a crazy moment, absurd moment. Um, there was one comment though that I thought was an all-time read the room moment. Uh, Adrian Peterson went ahead and commented on that video and said that was nothing, which which is Kyler level Murray like which is which is Kyler Murray posting in the Michael Vick shirt with his dogs levels of not reading the room. Like Adrian Peterson had charges for child abuse for hitting his kids too hard. And he's saying like that was nothing. Which I guess he's trying to say like I think he went on to say like this is not cool, like Jonathan Gannon needs to like keep his cool or whatever. But I think if you're Adrian Peterson and you open with that was nothing, it makes it sound like I would have hit him harder. Like if these are my kids, I would have beat their ass 10 times as hard. I don't know. Just like probably like if you're Adrian Peterson and you see something like this going down, probably just stay out of it, man. Probably just nobody asked you to comment on it. Oh man, but that was just absurd. An absurd moment in Instagram history there. Um, yeah, but anyways, it's just crazy. But we can move on. Commanders 27, Chargers 10. I don't know. The Chargers are. I don't believe in the Chargers, and I never have, and I never will. The Dirty Bubble got their asses, and that's final. I just don't know why the Chargers play in LA. I don't get it. I don't understand because I don't know why we decided that two teams needed to be in LA because it doesn't seem like either one of them have fans that want to go to the games. Uh, SoFi Stadium on Thursday night, first of all, was entirely red because the 49ers were there. And it was so loud on defense for when the 49ers were on defense. And then this week, or this Sunday, it's all red, all Commanders fans. And it was like, it like sounded like an away game for the Chargers when they're driving, trying to go score. And I don't know how you fix that because like even at Texans games, sometimes it feels like that because like, people here just don't give a shit. I know people in LA got way better shit to do. It seems like. Um, Honestly, I don't know what the fuck people are doing around here. Like If you have tickets to the game, get your ass to the game. I don't understand. Like, what are you gonna do? Go walk around some pavement somewhere? Um, I don't know, but it is just like a bloodbath in there every time. Like, you can probably get tickets for so cheap if you were a opposing fan. Like, they must give them to you at a discount because they're all in there. Meanwhile, on the field, I don't know. Amari and Hampton going on IR. So sad because he was starting to really break out. Um, but I mean, the Chargers' offensive line on top of that is really struggling out there. The Chargers are in trouble, right? Because they opened up the season with 3-0 record, beat all the teams in their division. Seemed like and like the Chiefs are floundering. Seems like they had a clear runway to win this thing for the first time in forever. Um, and all of a sudden they like in 2 games they gave their lead entirely back. Like the Broncos and them are tied at the top of that division. The Chiefs are 1 game behind. Um, with both of those teams having another game against them still to come. So I don't know. You thought you were gonna run away with this division to start the season, and then you lose to a Giants team who seems like they're pretty bad still. Uh, and then the Commanders, who are okay, right? But they're missing their top playmaker. Their defense is not excellent by any stretch of the imagination, and yet they get a little bit blown out in this game. Um, I mean, like Justin Herbert didn't look great again. There are some moments where he just refuses to not throw the ball like hard as shit. Like he just like rears back and launches that thing. I think there was a 4th down and like 2 where Tyler Conklin's standing there and he throws the ball so hard it goes like fully through his hands before Tyler Conklin can even like begin to bring them together. Um, yeah, and there are some times where he just like launches that shit with no regard for human life. Um, which I guess like works out whenever things are open and clicking and your offense is humming. But if things go poorly and you're just like launching balls as hard as you can at checkdowns, like 2 feet away from your face, it's a little bit hard to like handle that. So I don't know. I think that the Chargers, some people were ready to crown them. I don't. I don't know. I think that they're going to struggle to get through the season. They continue to have injuries on the offensive line. Um, on the Commander side of the ball, though, it's good to have Jaden back, though. Good to have Jaden Daniels back out there. You forget how electric he can be. Like, some of those throws he makes, they just look silky smooth. Everything he does, he just has so much aura about him. He's just ridiculous when he goes and plays football. Um, Bill Krosky-Merritt had a breakout game in this game. He had 14 carries, 111 yards for 2 touchdowns on the ground. Then he had 2 catches for 39 yards through the air. He just had himself a game. And this might be like he might not look back from this point on. He looked really good, and if they can both get going, plus they get Terry McLaurin back, maybe this Commanders team can do something in the NFC. Um, especially if they can do well in their games against the Eagles, like they might be able to reel them back in. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I was surprised to see the Commanders win by so much on Sunday because I thought for sure Chargers were going to get back on the horse after losing to the Giants, and they didn't. They didn't look good at all. Um, there's a lot of injuries that they have to overcome, and like who knows if they have the strength to do it or not. Like I think Keenan Allen looked amazing. I think every time I looked up, he was catching a pass on 3rd down or like scoring a touchdown that they needed desperately, which I think they only scored 1, so maybe it was just a 1 touchdown. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with the Chargers because, like I said, they looked like they were running away with it. Now all of a sudden, not so much. Next game up, Lions 37, Bengals 24. Jake Browning needs to stop this. He's got 8 interceptions thrown through 3 games and some change. He kind of turned it on a little bit at the end in garbage time, but it's been just 4 weeks of terrible football out of the Bengals. And I can't, like, here's what I'll say. Next season, schedule makers, NFL schedule makers, listen to me right now. Do not put the Bengals in prime time at all. I don't care if you want to see Joe Burrow play against Patrick Mahomes. I don't care if you want to see him play Josh Allen. I don't care if you want to see him play Lamar in prime time. He won't be there. Okay? He's not going to be there. We're going to be watching fucking Mike White playing quarterback on Thursday night in the middle of. They have the Thursday night game for Thanksgiving this year. Because every single season, the schedule makers are like, oh, well, people want to watch Joe Burrow play. They want to watch Joe Burrow play in primetime, and he's definitely not going to get hurt this year, right? He will. He will get hurt. Do not put the Bengals in primetime anymore. Please, I'm begging you. I don't know what what are we gonna do for Thanksgiving night? What are we gonna do? What are we going to do? He's not gonna be there. And it really sucks to say that, but you just have to stop. Because the Bengals, I feel like, are in every single primetime game every single week of my life. I think back on every single primetime game I've watched this year, I think the Bengals are there. And maybe they haven't played any primetime games, and that's on me. But, like, I just can't. I can't watch the Bengals play football anymore. I can't do it. It's too depressing. Congrats to the Lions. They keep rolling. And I guess the Bengals just gave up because they're not looking for other quarterbacks as far as I can tell, and they need one. So, I don't know. If you're Kirk Cousins, you're probably pissing yourself with anger because you could be getting reps right now. And instead, the Bengals are just content to keep losing games, I guess. I told Ellie last week, and like we talked about it, where it was like, if they go and get another quarterback, that means they probably think that Joe Burrow is going to come back and they're trying to compete this year. And if they just sit here and die, then they're probably pretty sure that Joe Burrow is not going to make it back. And every week that goes by where we watch this stuff happen, feels like that's the way they're leaning. So if you're a Bengals fan, I'm sorry. It seems like your team has given up for this year. And I actually don't feel that bad for you because I also have to watch it. So I'm right there with you. We're suffering together, but you did this to us. I guess you didn't do it to us, but somebody in the organization did, and it's football terrorism, and I won't stand for it. Next game, let me get the actual score to this game because I thought the Bills were going to do it. Bills versus Patriots. Yeah, so Patriots 23, Bills 20. I don't know about the Buffalo Bills. Something that I wrote down at the end of this game, because this was a close game, came down to the wire, which honestly, like, I think we are talking on our last episode, talking about how, like, the Patriots are right there with the Bills. And I thought they'd split this season series, and I thought that, like, they would each take their home game. But the Patriots surprised me. Like, there were moments in that game where you think, like, the moment is probably too big for the Patriots right now. Like, this is probably too much too soon. These Patriots are good, and you can tell that. And I think Chris Collinsworth said that, like, no matter what happens here, like, they're going to tell you, the Patriots are telling you right now that they are better than the Patriots team you're used to seeing. And I think that's true, right? I think that's what we saw on Sunday night. But still, in those moments, I was like, okay, yes, this team is better than we've seen, but I still feel like this moment is just a little bit too big for them. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't, you know? It was absurd to watch them win this game in Buffalo, in Highmark Stadium, which may have been the last time that we see them play at Sunday Night Football in that stadium. I don't know, because Drake May look good. Don't get me wrong. The Patriots offense was. I don't know what was going on with Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. They were fumbling all over the place. Like the Bills fumbled on their first drive just on a random, like, fuck up on like a tight end cutting across the formation. And then the very next play, Ramondre Stevenson gave them the ball right back. I don't know what Traylon Henderson's done to Mike Vrabel. I don't know what he's got going on over there, why he's in the doghouse so hard. But Ramondre Stevenson fumbles. And then Antonio Gibson is the one they put in the game. They say, Ramondre kind of sucks right now. Let's go to Antonio Gibson. And then, like, 3 plays later, they're like, you know what? Let's go ahead and put Ramondre Stevenson back in there, but let's also leave Antonio Gibson in the game. Let's run both of those running backs in at the same time. Henderson, just sit the bench. And then Antonio Gibson, who unfortunately did tear his ACL in this play, but he proceeded to fumble the ball. And only after he was out for the game and probably the season did they start to give Trayvon Henderson the ball. And I don't think he did a ton with it, but I don't know, it's just weird to watch them do that. In the meantime, Stephon Diggs, huge game. His first one back in Buffalo since he got traded. I think he had 10 catches for like 140 yards. But there were moments, like I was talking about, there were moments um, where I thought this game was over, where I thought, yeah, nice try, but you're not going to get it done. Drake May, about to get sacked, rolling to his right, just being dragged down by the caller, and just throws a ridiculous pass to Stephon Diggs, who makes a couple people miss, gets the first down, keeps the drive going, that would eventually win them the game. I just can't believe the way that they played that night, where like Drake May didn't like blow the game out of the water. He didn't have like 400 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. I don't know if he threw a touchdown all night. Um, he probably did, but just the fact that they stayed in it, and every moment where they could have quit and given up and said, you know what, this is enough for us. This is enough. Like, we'll show the world that we can be in this game. We don't even need to win it. We just need to be in it. The fact that they were at those moments and they said, but why don't we win it anyway? And they got it done is absurd to me. I can't believe it. And now, the only thing that I'm thinking is that I don't know how to feel about the Bills right now. Because, hello, Dahlia. Hello, baby kitten. She's going to try and jump on the computer and knock over my light. Hold on. Okay. Hopefully she doesn't turn off the computer. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the Bills because outside of that fourth quarter against the Ravens, like they haven't really been like killing teams. We joked about it last week, but they were genuinely flirting with losing that game to the Saints last weekend. And like they beat the crap out of the Jets, but who doesn't? I don't know. Like games that they should win, they've been winning, but haven't really been putting on a show like they usually do, you know. And this time, they just didn't look good at all. They were struggling to get anything going. I think it was like 6-3.5 or something crazy like that. I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about this team because I think that Josh Allen is a good quarterback, and I think that like controversial. And I think that like they have a decent team around him. But I just don't see how this team is any different than any of the Buffalo teams before. If anything, they will be helped out tremendously if the Chiefs are out of the playoffs. But unfortunately for them, the Chiefs look like they're all the way back. Even though they lost today, like they look like they're all the way back. So I don't really know where the Bills go from here because they've got like Keelan Coleman is good and their tight ends are playing out of their mind right now and James Cook is so good. But for whatever reason, like when push comes to shove, like they just seem to crumble a little bit and it's perplexing to me. The only thing I'll say is like I don't know. Obviously, this is a random game in like October, so it doesn't matter, I guess, right? But like, I feel like people love Josh Allen so much because he loses like this, because he loses. Obviously, he's a nice guy. He's got a great personality, and like I think that he's really cool. But I feel like you only get to stay as popular as he has throughout his entire career if you continue to not be a serious threat to anybody's team. You know what I mean? Like Patrick Mahomes, people love Patrick Mahomes, and then he started winning a lot, and people got pissed off. Same thing with Tom Brady, where they hated him, wanted him to die, and now that he's not really a problem, people don't really seem to mind him that much. You know? I don't know. I just think that like Josh Allen and the Bills. I don't know what. It's hard to draw like conclusions from this game because it's so early in the season and like who cares? You barely lost a game to a division rival, so I get it. But I don't know. Maybe you can't see this, or maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like you can just see the postseason disappointment written on this team because they don't have it all together and they don't feel like even like the Lions. They don't feel like they're moving like a well-oiled machine like that. So if that really is the matchup at the end of the season, you feel like the Lions are going to have a lot better chance to win that game than the Bills will. Um, I don't know. I just don't know how long you can count on Josh Allen heroics to win football games. But it didn't happen this week. So now the Patriots back. Patriots back alert? Maybe so. Last game on the slate, which was absolutely wild. Let me get the final score of this game, too, because this game just wrapped. I think it was. No, not Jake Paul height. Let's see. So Jaguars 31, Chiefs 28. This was a weird one. I'll just say that. Um, we had some drama early on. The Chiefs' first touchdown, there was a pick play that they intentionally called, right? Like they wanted Juju Smith-Schuster to make that block so that Travis Kelce could get open. Um, the refs initially threw a flag on the play, and they picked it up because they were within a yard of the line of scrimmage. It was very close. I think that I don't know, that's another one of those like spirit of the law, letter of the law things where like, yeah, I guess technically he was within the 1 yard mostly, right? Like I think he was like, I wrote down like 1.1 yards down the field. Because I think like one of his feet was there, but the other one was not. Um, but that just feels like one of those things was like, okay, I get you're trying to like give the receivers the ability to like fake a block and then get out for a route or like make like hand fighting at the line of scrimmage so that it doesn't automatically get called as like offensive pass interference or something like that. I understand that. But it feels like when teams like intentionally take advantage of that to try and like commit offensive pass interference legally, it's a little bit hard to stomach, especially when you're on the team like receiving that. So especially when they throw the flag initially, then pick it back up, it's hard to handle that. Um, so I feel Jaguars fans' pain there as much as I can. They seem like they're having a pretty good time tonight. So I'm not going to give you too much credit for that. And then Trevor Lawrence, they drive down the field. They're on like the 1 inch line on 4th down and goal. Trevor Lawrence gets the ball knocked out with like a millimeter to spare. And it really just felt like the Jaguars were going to be in one of those games again. Like they really felt like they were just not ready for this moment. Um, Especially because like I don't know what they were doing. Maybe this is something that they've been doing all season long and I just haven't seen it yet. Um, but like every single time they go to the line of scrimmage, they get up there, stand around for 10 seconds until like the play clock is down to 5. And then Trevor Lawrence just decides to start changing the play 1,000 times and then canceling changing the play. And then they just freak out and run around and like the whole crowd is chanting like the play clock down because they're so sick of it. They're yelling and screaming as the ball is about to be snapped because they're all panicking. And it's just like chaos every time the Jaguars come to the line where they get up there and they say, I don't know what's happening, but we just need to like do something. And they all start running around and then the fans start getting antsy. And it's just a mess every time. Like twice, I think. They just got like random delay of games for no reason. Like for no discernible reason. The play's called in plenty of time. They get to the line and then Trevor Lawrence just decides to change the play with like 3 seconds on the play clock. And the fans are clearly fed up with it because they are screaming and yelling every time the play clock gets low. Everybody's panicking. The vibes are horrible. And then somehow they pull out a game like this. Um, yeah, I think that, I don't know. I think that the Jaguars defense is really good. They have 14 takeaways this season. Devin Lloyd had an insane 99-yard pick six right before or right after like the Chiefs were going to go in to score and go up to take the Jaguars up 21-14. It was just a crazy play by him. I think he had 2 interceptions last week. He's just been on fire. The Jaguars defense has been crazy. And honestly, I think they're the ones that are keeping them in these games, which is fair. Like that's how the Texans play football, so that's good for them. But I don't know. I was just amazed by like the way the Jaguars are conducting their offense. Because even before they went at a half, they had like 30 seconds left. They had the ball on their own like 20-yard line. And they're just kind of running around like doing shit. throwing the ball around, trying to pass, taking a sack, just to get to the half. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're not going to score. You don't have time to score. You don't have any reason to be doing what you're doing, and yet they just seem intent on just running around, just doing whatever. And I don't really understand what they're doing on offense. They won this game, so I want to give them credit for that. Credit to the Jags for winning it against the Chiefs. The crowd showed up. It sounded incredible in there. They were definitely there for the moment. Um, it's hard for me to root for the Jaguars when they're actually good because they've been like a lovable loser for so long. Still don't exactly feel threatened by the Jaguars, so like whatever. Um, but it's hard for me to know how to feel about them after this game because basically what happened on the final drive is they were fully about to throw it away. Then Trevor Lawrence throws an amazing pass to Brian Thomas Jr. down the sideline. He remembers how to catch a football all of a sudden, catches it, gets down. He throws another rope to I think Dammy Brown or something like that to get them within the 11-yard line. Um, they throw an incompletion from there, and then again they're just standing there doing God knows what for so long, trying to use the hard count with like the game on the line. Like, why are you trying to get people to jump off sides? Like, I guess I get it, but like, let's just run your play, man. And they get to delay a game with like 30 seconds left, second and 10 from the 11-yard line. Just like, what are you doing? How do you let that happen? What's going on? For all intents and purposes, you should have lost the game right there. They happen to get bailed out by a pass interference call on the next play, and so they get the ball first down and goal from the 1. And then they, I don't even understand, but it was probably the wildest play that I've seen this year, and probably what perfectly encapsulates this entire game. But Trevor Lawrence takes a snap, immediately gets stepped on by his lineman, falls down on the ground, is like trying to get back up, but is like rolling around, like flopping on the ground like a fish. Nobody's getting to him. He gets up, runs, breaks 2 tackles, and dives and slides face first into the end zone to score the game winning touchdown. And it was just so perfect because that's exactly what the Jaguars did all night. They got delayed game penalties. They looked sloppy at the line. They fucked around for so long. They just like were doing whatever you don't do to win games. And then somehow, someway, Trevor Lawrence just manages to break out this long scramble and get a first down, extend the drive, score a touchdown. That was their entire offense all night. Was just like, I don't know what we're doing, but I guess we'll just keep going out there. And then Trevor Lawrence just takes off running out of nowhere and wins them the game essentially. And because of that, I don't really know how to feel about this team, right? Because that's just not going to fly in January. Delaying games in moments like that. I mean, sure, you get a lot of time to get it cleaned up, but that's crazy. Um, I don't know, but I mean, credit to the Jaguars, credit to Trevor Lawrence, because there's a lot of games where Trevor Lawrence, where like Jaguars just happen to lose because they just lose, and people just look at Trevor Lawrence and they're like, "What the hell, man?" Like I can't say why I know this is your fault, but it is, right? It has to be. And, to be fair, he hasn't played up to the expectations that were set for him, like the next Peyton Manning. Um, but I don't know. He was the one who won them this game tonight. The defense arguably did more than he did, but like nobody on his offense wanted to help him out. He went and made plays on third down when they needed it most. And he did exactly what you normally see Patrick Mahomes do, where when nobody else is helping, when nobody else wants to win the game but him, run, scramble, get the first down, put your body on the line, do whatever you have to do, make 1 or 2 big throws down the stretch, and win the close game. Right? That's what we saw Patrick Mahomes do all of last year. That's what we almost saw him do tonight because the Chiefs, even though they lost, they still look like they're the same team that was playing against the Ravens garbage defense last week. So they're still back, just not quite all the way back, because they don't have Rashee Rice yet. Um, but I mean, like you're talking about teams that are ready to take a big step, and a quarterback who is like taken a step towards like knowing how to win football games. Trevor Lawrence tonight, even though it wasn't pretty, even though I don't know what they're doing at the line of scrimmage, he stepped up, and when the team needed him most, he went and he made plays. So I don't know if you're a Jags fan, like let me know how you feel because you probably don't feel. I mean, you probably feel amazing. Don't get me wrong. That was a crazy win, but what are you thinking about all the other stuff that comes with it? You know, the pre-snap penalties, the fact that you can't even get a play called, the fact that really for most of the night it looked like Trevor Lawrence had to make those runs or nobody was going to do anything else. How do we feel about all that? You know, does that mean that do you feel like you're a contender after this? Obviously, you must. Um, but I don't know. Like, how do you think it's going to go for you down the stretch? I don't know. Yeah, but as for the Chiefs, like there were some crazy plays that I don't know. This game just wasn't very well officiated. I'll say that much. Just didn't seem like it was very well officiated because they also missed the pass interference call on the Chiefs whenever Trevor Lawrence threw an inexplicable interception um, right after that Devin Lloyd interception. So I don't know. The Chiefs are going to be fine. Obviously, like based on this game, I think they'll be fine because like against the Ravens, yeah, you can blow a team out. That's bad, and the Ravens are bad, but doing it against this Jaguars defense that is one of the best in the league means that they're back for right now. You know, like I think they'll be there in the playoffs come December, come January, and I think that they'll probably win that division because the Chargers are choking it away as we speak, and the Broncos are not amazing. It's certainly not as amazing as people thought they would be. Um, but I think the Chiefs are going to be fine. I think Patrick Mahomes is just waiting to get his players back. Like Xavier Worthy's still not 100%. Rashee Rice still obviously suspended and maybe not 100%. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know. It was a great game, a crazy ending. I couldn't believe that I was watching Trevor Lawrence flop like a fish for what felt like 10 minutes and nobody touched him. And then he managed to score on that play because they had no timeouts. If he would have been tagged down, they would have been scrambling to get into the playoff. It might have been over. So I don't know. Again, credit to the Jags. The Chiefs fans, relax. You don't need any comfort, but you're also going to be all right. So don't freak out too much about it. And yeah, that's where I'll leave it because Ellie's not here. Let's check out the Thursday night game. Actually, I'll make my picks. I didn't ask Ellie for um, for hers before I recorded this. I mean, it's Eagles Giants. I think we're both probably going to go Eagles, but I'll make the graphic on Thursday and upload it with her pick officially. Even though it's in MetLife, I'm going to go ahead and say the Eagles bounce back and win that game. But yeah, that'll do it for Aaron and Ellie on Kirby Drive. I've been Aaron. Hopefully Ellie will be back next time we record. Her schedule's just a little bit irregular because she works nights as a nurse. So thank you guys so much for listening. And hopefully your team did well this week. But if not, there's always next week. But I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much.